Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater. We're at Winter NAMM 2019. It's a beautiful day in Anaheim. We're in the PRS booth, which I'm here. Great to see you, man.
Good to see you again, Mitch.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, you were just doing a press conference talking about the Silver Sky and some of the new things that are happening there.
Yeah.
4 new colors this year.
4 new colors, so we're adding 4 more into the mix and extending that narrative a little bit.
Right.
And it's really fun to see this design come to life in some other colors. It's really cool.
Right, right. Yeah, you were talking a little bit about how you'd like to see the guitar in general, and of course that guitar, kind of transcend just that musical instrument kind of a thing and kind of get out there a little broader appeal to the world.
I think there's a way to expose people to guitars that's a little bit different than sort of what we've been used to in the last, 30, 40 years.
Right.
And I'm a child of that. Like I'm a guitar player, but I'm also a consumer of other things, and I'm involved in other cultures and collecting other things. And
right.
I like the idea of taking everything that I've ever loved about anything and putting it into the way guitars are presented. Like shooting a guitar the way you would shoot, like a new lipstick or something, can
right.
contextualize the guitar in a way for people who don't really think like we think, to look at it and go, oh, that's something I want to hold. I think I would say, like, you've done your job when it makes you want to eat it. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's this weird sort of edible thing that happens when something is right, and I've had such a blast putting these guitars into that kind of context.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So you've been working with PRS for a while now, with both the amplifier and the guitar. Tell us a little bit about that connection. How did that all come about?
I believe that Paul was looking for me at the same time I was looking for Paul.
Yeah.
And it started with me needing a guitar to play with Dead & Company.
Mm-hmm.
That was going to maybe sidestep a little bit of what people would have assumed I would have played with
Right.
Dead & Company, and I was looking for an instrument that was going to be able to get me that sound, still sound like me, and also visually not stand so much in the shadow of those who have come before in that role.
Right.
And that's where the Super Eagle was born from. And I wish I could tell you exactly when we started talking about doing a 3 single coil guitar, but I think that's probably a testament to how natural it was that it
Right.
would come up. And it sent us into two things. Number one, like a really deep study of the guitar, but also like a really great friendship, understanding the other person's mind.
Right.
And Paul and I fill in the other person's blank. So together, I think we're a pretty great combination of his hardcore engineering,
Right.
and my slightly right brain abstract. It sounds too purple.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
And together, I think we make some really interesting things happen.
Right.
And I think we're past the discussion as to whether or not the Silver Sky should exist or will continue to exist.
Right.
They have stood down. It's going to exist.
Right, right.
And now the fun part is, how is it going to exist?
Mm-hmm.
How can it continually be used to make music with? Not just be a guitar, because there's playing the guitar, and then there's making music with the guitar. And I think it's a very musical instrument. I love watching people play it in their own bands and
Right.
on records. I'm using it on records all the time. So it's really going to be fun to watch the storyline sort of open up.
Right. You said something that I think is really key to things moving forward, and that's that there's a difference between playing guitar and making music. Talk a little bit more about that, because that really is a critical thing as far as the progression.
Well, you can never be so judgmental as to suggest that anybody not play the guitar.
Right.
Right? But what everybody should be striving for is having the guitar become slightly secondary to the impulse of music you want to make. And it's a very subtle, but once you key into it, very identifiable thing.
Okay.
Are you playing the guitar based on the scale presented to you, or are you using the guitar to express an idea that happens, and it could be 1/10 of a second before you play. But if you can honor that intention, that's what I'm interested in as a player. Now, you're also going to have people who want to play the guitar because they love how it feels to play guitar. And that's great too.
Sure.
Right.
And
It's the same thing with cameras.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge Leica camera guy. Have I shot any covers? No.
Right.
I'm a guitar player and I go on record with a guitar. I love Leica cameras. Have I ever shot any reportage from Southeast Asia that made it into National Geographic? No.
Right.
But I love using it.
Right.
And so there's really two kind of camps, and I think the most important thing is for players who started out falling in love with the guitar to expand into a certain kind of musicality where the guitar just becomes the voice box and the brain is the brain.
Right.
Instead of what I would call sort of playing the shapes.
Sure.
Playing, there's things that a guitar, okay, right? So there's a balance, right? There's things only a guitar can do harmonically, the way that it's dialed in. So that's going to shape the way guitar sounds.
Right.
But there are some claustrophobic things that end up happening where you just end up driving around the guitar neck like it's the Daytona 500.
Right.
Right. And I think there's a balance. And you start out loving the guitar, and then as you go, as a guitar player myself, I'm trying to put the fact that I'm playing the guitar just one step away from what I'm doing and move up closer. What's the note?
Right.
What would you play if there wasn't a guitar?
Right.
Right?
Right. Make
I
that
feel like I could
transition,
teach the world to play guitar if I went, just stop for 1 second. Here's your track you would play over. Hum me something. And if you can't hum me something, I don't know why you'd be wanting to just, although it's fun to go around and around and around on the guitar, but if you want to make it to that next sort of musical level, it becomes hum me, what would you play?
Right.
And then they would go, I don't know. And that's really what the practice is developing that instinct. And if you develop that instinct and you develop the instinct to play, or the mechanics of playing the guitar, you're a scary person.
There you go.
You're a scary person.
Well, you've moved up to being a musician.
That's
not,
right.
Not just a guitar player.
That's right. And look, I've been buying MPCs from you guys for years. Mm-hmm. I bought every iteration of MPC. I only ever used the MPC. Never made music on it until I bought the X. And I probably bought like 6 MPC X's from you guys.
Right.
And they all work, by the way. It wasn't that they weren't working. It's just with my life, like one goes, like, where's my MPC? Oh, it's back in storage for tour. Give me another MPC,
Right.
But must be nice. Must be nice. I'm only buying it so I can get the candy, guys.
There you go.
I got the freshest candy in the game. But I made an effort this time out to really learn the MPC, and I'm making music on the MPC in every session, even if it's just a drum, a backbeat in MPC. So that's really the name of the game.
Right. Part of that is letting go of the. I would expect that you're very accomplished on guitar, but maybe on MPC not quite as accomplished, and so you don't have those preconceived visual things that you're working with.
So and that can be a liberating creative thing too, but I think I just really like going back and forth between coasting on something and then being like, nope, I really want to hardcore figure this out. Right. I think everyone watching this wants to have that balance of when to open a manual and when to just close your eyes and float.
Right.
And you move back and forth, and then you kind of chimney up,
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So part of that, being able to let go of just the visual and the patterns and things, is the feel of the guitar and certainly the tone as well, having a playable tone. Talk a little bit about that and what you were searching for with the 2 guitars you've done as well as your amp.
For the guitar, and I think for the amp as well, the feel took a long time to figure out. Now, if you put 6 of the same model guitar in front of you, and you play each one, you're going to have a favorite.
Sure.
Why? And if you can answer the question why, you can reverse engineer what needs to be done to each guitar. I have found that it was never tonal. My experience with the guitar has never been a tonal experience. It just simply comes down to the tautness of the string. That's it. I'll get used to a neck. I'll get used to a radius. I'll get used to a wood type. I'll never get used to a string that's too tight or rides too high. Right. And with Paul and I realizing that's really the variable. Look, if there's a pickup that's a little brighter, I'll just play music around it.
Right.
If there's a pickup that growls a little more in the neck position, I'll just play music around it. I don't think, if you're only trying to play one thing, you will discover, this guitar, but I pick up a guitar and go different every time. So the one thing I can't get around is something to do with what I call just slack. I mean, it's called slack. I realize that. But, I'm just only thinking about the slack. How much does it give? How quickly does the string come back? And we figured out that had a lot to do, and, of course, knowing Paul, 145 things,
Right.
And we nailed what they are. And I can pick any Silver Sky up out of a case that's shipped to me or a music store or whatever, and I could play a solo on it on a record and go, it's like the same guitar. So we were interested in trying to bring down the margin of magic so that everything had it. So that, you'd find one that was 2.8% more this way or that way.
Sure.
And that's the thing, is the feel. The sound I'll play around, very hard to play around a feel that's different. And this, you'd be surprised. I mean, you look at it and you go, well, they're not 6 in a line tuners, so there must be a difference, and there's not. Mm-hmm. I learned something making this guitar. The way a neck looks affects what you think the shape of the neck and the tension of the string is.
Yeah?
I did a blind taste test, and I thought I knew the difference between one guitar and the other, and I swore I had it, and I was wrong most of the time.
Grabbing the neck without any other.
Looking down it, the length of the headstock,
right.
the pitch of everything. We make these little tiny decisions all the time, and I know I did. I went, no, I can't, and I at one point closed my eyes, and someone went, okay, and I went like that, and I went, oh, this has to be the old one. This has to be the 64. It's not. Well, not a 64, because you could feel, but, you know, one of those types of guitars. I can say Fender. Paul can't say Fender. I think that's what I figured out. So we're just trying to make something in my sense of what playable is, believing that in some way or another someone else wants that too, you know. And I'm looking for buttery. When Rene Martinez gives me a guitar and I gotta say, it's just buttery. And we're just trying to reverse engineer what makes everyone's favorite guitar and try to put it into a guitar. And I think we have. And the same thing with the amp, you know. I mean, I'm known for having a bunch of amps going on at the same time and trying to give unicorns to the people.
Right.
You know, say what you will about a $5,000 unicorn, but it's a unicorn. They've got to be expensive. You ever see a cheap unicorn?
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Right. John, we appreciate you sitting down with us,
My
man.
pleasure.
It's a pleasure to get to see you. I hope we'll get you out to Sweetwater sometime.
Yeah, I would love to come by.
I'd love to have you there.
I'm big fans of you guys.
Thank you for being a customer, and it's just great to see you.
It's good to see you too.
Right on.
Keep doing the great work.
Right on.
And
Thanks.
just give me a couple more Mary Janes inside my little bag. I don't need the atomic fireballs.
Okay.
So if you can just give me a couple extra Mary Janes. You guys just open a candy shop and give people free guitars.
We'll make a note, though.
Yeah.
No Mary Jane.
Make a note on my report.
There you go.
Fantastic.
Right on. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining me at Winter NAMM 2019. We're coming to you from the PRS booth. John Mayer. I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater.